to Amateur Redneck Workshop. I'm Harold, the resident redneck, and as you know, a while back I built a CNC plasma torch table, whatever you want to call it, to see if I could do it. And there was a lot of things I didn't know that I was going to need. I thought in the first place I could get by without a torch height control. No, you can't. And I thought, well, I get by without touching off the the floating head. You can't get by without that either. You need that. So I put the torch height control on it, and it's not perfect, but with adding a floating head with a touch off, I think I've pretty good well got it civilized now. I know you guys are going to get tired of hearing about it, but I thought I'd just show you what I did to put on a floating head and make the thing do a touch off. That's pretty good. I'm going to start off showing you what I did, and then we'll follow that up with how I did it, and then we'll have a Bubba joke at the end. That ought to work out. So we're having nice, cool, rainy weather here, and I like that. Makes really, really pleasant working out in the garage. Anyway, let's just get on with it. Alright, it's finally completed and installed. That'll trip the switch. The next step will be to wire it, and then after that, add it into the software and measure the movement and make sure it works right, if it's going to work at all. We'll find out. Previously, the plasma torch didn't have a touch-off feature to it, so I went over to Plasma Spider forum and learned how to do that, and I've incorporated that here, and I'm going to run it without the torch turned on just to demonstrate that it now touches off before each cut. I need two pieces like this, but I've only got one, so I'm going to have to cut one out of a big piece, and hopefully that will work. We'll find out. While I was cutting that piece with that slitting saw, it came to me that it took me 10 minutes to do that, and I was obviously suffering from new tool obsession, because I could have took it over on the Evo saw and cut it in 30 seconds. That includes dragging the extension cord over there and clamping it down and everything. But I was just fixated on using the new tool. Alright, now I'll cut a slot that's less than 200 thousandths. I've got a 3/16 end mill so I can go through it, and it'll still be too narrow for the metal I'm going to use. And then I can go back up the other side, but before I do that, I'm going to sink it in to about maybe a quarter of an inch deep, maybe. So I think that'd be about right. I had to refill my little jug of Canadian tap water. You can get that only from AVE, $100 a gallon. We got a fairly nice fit there, and as how it fits, that's what we were looking for. I might could have made it 1,000 tighter, but that might have been too tight. But anyway, it fits, and I'll go in and I'll do the next one just like this one, off camera, of course. Alright, so there it is fitting into the slots. It's not going to be that wide, of course, but It'll go into these slots and it will slide up and down as a floating head. Now these sides are longer than I need, and I'll be cutting them down to fit. Well, here we are again. I'm not going to do any technical stuff today, and I'm not going to make any videos because I haven't got anything that interesting. But I'm not working on anything today to speak of, because I just got back from the eye specialist, eye doctor, whatever, and my eyes were dilated, and I can't see anything very good. You know, everything's fuzzy. But I think I can see good enough to hang these fluorescent bulbs. I inherited this from the bathroom remodeling job, the light that was on the ceiling, because we got a new one in there. And I think I can see good enough to screw it to the ceiling. But I'm not going to do any video on that, of course. What I am going to tell you about, on the continuing job with this guy right here to make a floating head that'll work with a torch touch off. I had to 3D print some stuff, you know, as a thing to hold the torch, and the first time around it didn't come out too good. As you can see, this is curved a bit here. I'll lay this up here and you can see the curve. How that happened, I don't know, but I printed it with it down like that, and I think that might have been some of the cause. And then if you look at this guy, you can see the holes are not evenly spaced. So I went back to the drawing board, made a lot of mistakes and such, and came up with this guy. Now this guy I printed laying down like this so that the empty space was down. This one I printed laying like this, and it did the job just fine either way, and the holes are better spaced and they fit. So I use Tinkercad for that. That's for us beginners, you know, much better than trying to dig real deep into Fusion 360. Well, there we go. Got my light up. I didn't fall off the ladder or break anything. No rednecks were harmed in the hanging of that. It didn't look like that in the bathroom, no. It had a nice white plastic diffuser over it and decorative ends with all kind of flowery cutouts and stuff. But I don't want to have to remove that kind of crud every time I've got to change a bulb. I just want the light, you know. So I threw away the rest of it and kept just the bare minimum. Since I got started doing other things, I got that D-Link camera there. It recognizes people and it'll follow you around the room. And after setting it up there, I threw away the stupid part of it that attaches it to the ceiling. I guess I did because I couldn't find it, so I had to print a little part to stick it on. I glued it to it. It's basically just a ring with ears sticking out, but that holds the camera up there. And when you walk around the room, the camera follows you to see what the heck you're up to, I guess. I'll show you a couple of seconds of video from that later. I got the light working in the corner now, but two of the bulbs didn't survive the trip. Gonna have to get some, probably some of those LCD replacements. So here we go with the floating head. I put this switch on kind of an angle so that it would contact it quicker, and I can also drill another hole here and move it up straighter if I need more room. But I think that should be a plenty of movement right there to do a touch off. The way I built this little thing was to take two pieces and cut a channel from end to end. And then I took an end mill and went down into it 3/4 of an inch, maybe a little over, for a place to hold the spring. So I've got that number 10 cap screw in there to retain the spring. And on the bottom, this number 10 screw down here will stop the sliding part so that, you know, it's captured in there. There you are. Alright, it's finally completed and installed. That'll trip the switch. The next step will be to wire it, and then after that, add it into the software and measure the movement and make sure it works right, if it's going to work at all. We'll find out. It seemed like Cooter got him a couple of new dogs, and so Bubba went over to this place to take a look at them, and he come there and looked at them, and they were, nice puppies, big enough, to be weaned off from their mother, and they, going to grow pretty good. And Bubba said, well, he says, them sure some nice looking dogs there, Cooter. He says, have you named them yet? Cooter says, yep. He says, this one right here is Rolex, and this one right here is Timex. Bubba looked at him, and he thought on that a minute, and he says, well, Cooter, he says, them's kind of unusual names. He says, how come you name those dogs that? Cooter said, well, it's of course on account of their watchdogs. Well, that's all, folks. Y'all try to subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. Leave a comment if you got something to say. And above all, remember, keep on keeping on. Bye now.